Thank you for being here. And for those of you who are at home, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being here in person. So we are the school counseling department at Swampscott High School, and we want to meet with the 9th grade parents and guardians to give you an overview of the high school and who we are and how we will support your children while you're here. So starting with introductions, there's 3 of us that make up the school counseling department, and then we'll talk about additional counselors later in the presentation. But I'm Rachel Sturma. For the class of 2029, I have students with last names A through E.
Hi, I'm Julie O'Neill, and for the class of 2029, I have students with the last names F through O.
And I'm Julie Mazzola, and I have letters P through Z last names.
So we have a model where we stay with your children all 4 years, so we get to know them when they're young and then help them transition out of high school as they get older. So we enjoy working with them for all 4 years. It really helps us get to know them, who they are as individuals, and help them plan a path for after high school. We want to call your attention to our website. All of the presentations we do over the years, we put on our website. So this presentation and this recording will live there, all of our slides. And we do this every year. There's different topics to discuss as the students get older. So all of our presentations live on that website, information about financial aid, information about course selection, really anything that comes out of our department would live on that website. So we encourage you to check back often for anything you might want to see. And if you're eager to learn more about college planning or things like that, you can always go ahead and check the links for the older grades if you're interested in getting ahead with learning some information about that. And then we have an administrative assistant in our office. So when the students come into guidance, which is right across the hallway, Mrs. Brown sits there. She's been here for many years. She's a friendly face and helps them get to see us, or she can definitely answer any questions they have. When they get part-time jobs, they might need a worker's permit or something like that. She's the one that helps them with that. And when they get older, she handles AP exams and scholarships. So we work as a big team. So now we wanted to talk about just who we are and what do we do with your children. So we see our role as multifaceted, and we put our responsibilities into a few buckets. So first is academic counseling. Like I said, we are a team with your students for all 4 years, and so we meet with students each year to do their academic planning. So we're constantly monitoring how they're doing in school, so with progress reports, which is halfway through the quarter, and then we get 4 report cards per year. So we're constantly monitoring how they're doing, checking in on that, meeting with them if we see low grades and feel like they might need a little bit of extra help. And each winter, spring, we go through course selection, where the teachers make recommendations for the students about what they should be taking next year, and they put it into the system, and then we meet with the students one-on-one to review all those recommendations and hear from the students about what they would like to take the following year, including electives and things like that. And we help them build a plan that way. So we're monitoring their 4 years of academics, helping them plan for the next year, encouraging them to challenge themselves when appropriate, because we do have different levels of academics here at school: advanced college prep, honors, advanced placement. So each student's schedule will be different from their friends, and we encourage everybody to embrace their own path, and we're here to make sure they're challenged appropriately. So like I said, we're monitoring the academic progress, making sure they're on track. If things are going in a downward way, we will meet with the student, talk to the teachers, and develop a plan about how to get them back on track. We help the students, we like to hear who they are as people, learn about them, and help them set some goals, including career planning for after high school, what they want to major in college, if that's their plan, or if they want to go into a vocational program. So we're always learning about who they are as people and what they want to do, and helping them set goals for themselves. And then, of course, there's ups and downs in the academic year with teachers and assignments and homework. And so if there's ever an issue with a student and a teacher, we can kind of be that mediary person, that person who helps resolve the problem and help the student speak to the teacher if they're uncomfortable. So we're just a sense of support. We are the people they can go to if they don't know who else to go to.
So the second piece of our role is helping students with social and emotional support. So students who might be experiencing personal issues, medical issues, we want to work with them to work through that, figure out a plan for how they can get through school and how they can kind of feel like things are okay, even if they might not always be 100% okay. We also work with students who either are experiencing bullying or maybe seeing somebody else get bullied. We want to hear about that, and we want to work with them and work with administration to help them get to a point where they feel safe in school and where that issue can be resolved. And then just generally feel, oh my gosh, excuse me. Whoa. Just generally feeling overwhelmed. High school can be tough, especially coming from the middle school. I know that, the middle school and the high school are relatively the same size, but I think it might feel a lot bigger here. Your classes are all over the building. You have more homework. You have a lot more to balance, maybe sports or clubs or work after school. So if students are feeling overwhelmed, we want to work with them and help them out with scheduling their day, maybe working with talking to teachers, getting extra help, like Ms. Sturma said, and really just ensuring that they have a great transition to high school. And they know that we are here to support them every step of the way.
I don't want to say our third and final role is college and career planning, because we do wear so many different hats and have so many roles, but a big part of our job and responsibility to your kids and our students is what are they doing after high school and how can we help them get there. So post-secondary planning is what we like to call it. Not everybody goes off to college, and that is fine. There's a lot of kids that can choose a 2-year school or a 4-year school, and we work with them individually on that. Some kids want to go off into the military, so we work with them on that. Some kids go right into the employment world. Some kids take a gap year, which means they might take a year off and then further their education at some point. Whatever they choose, we work with them and help them attain that goal. And we do that starting in 9th grade by meeting with them in November. We're meeting with the 9th graders to discuss goal setting. It's early, they're young, but we want them to always be thinking, what am I doing next? What's the next step? And how do we help them get there? And that could look like, I know I want to go to college and be a doctor. What is my schedule going to look like for the next 4 years? And we help them build that schedule. It could be that they want to go into the military. We help them touch base with recruiters and potentially do an ASVAB test, things like that. So we're always helping them where they're at in whatever their goals are. In addition to goal setting in 9th grade, we work with them on resume writing. And we start this out pretty early because it's buildable. We want to see, come senior year, a full-length resume of all the accomplishments that they've had throughout their 4 years here. What have they been involved in? What leadership do they have? Awards they've received? Employment, all of it goes on their resume. So we start that out in 9th grade. Lastly, what we will do with them in 9th grade is start to talk about inventories and trying to figure out who they are as learners, and some career interest inventories as well. So we like to see how do they learn, what are their interests, what are their strengths, and how does that align with potential majors down the road or career paths down the road for their post-secondary planning. Talking specifically about the college preparedness, we work with each student, if that's their path. We start having them think about it in 9th grade and 10th grade, and then junior and senior year is really when we start honing in on the college piece and talking about what that looks like for college tours, college visits, and doing that research. We have a program called SCORE that we do all of this work in, the resume writing, the interest inventories, the college preparedness. All of that is through a program called SCORE. We get them up and running in that 9th grade year. Our juniors and seniors can really hone in on the college piece via SCORE. We talk about SATs, ACTs, the standardized tests that go along with college preparedness, scholarships we work with them on, financial aid, and just walking them through the entire process of the application for college. So there's a lot that goes into it. It starts in 9th grade and we work our way up to senior year.
So we also want to highlight some additional mental health resources that we have in the counseling office. And we're going to highlight us too. So every year we really love Halloween, and please let us know what costume ideas you have for this year because we're still trying to figure it out. Wait, Does anyone want to say? Yes, it's from Inside Out or Inside Out 2. I think we have characters from both, which is about a little girl's feelings and emotions inside her head, and each emotion is a different character. So our counseling department dressed up like Inside Out last year, and that's just like a fun little thing that we did. But we have a lot of mental health resources in our department. So the SHS counseling department kind of consists of multiple areas. So we are your school counselors. We kind of could be, I guess this is like an analogy I like to say, in like the medical world, we would maybe be like the primary care doctors. If you're not sure where to go first, come to us. And then if the whatever you're coming to about might be a little bit bigger or more specialized than what we are able to work with your child on, we'll kind of refer out and connect your child with other people who can help them even more. So in addition to the school counselors, we have 2 adjustment counselors, Miss MacDonald and Miss Kelly. Miss MacDonald works with students in the first half of the alphabet. Miss Kelly works with students in the second half of the alphabet. And they're just here for a little bit more specialized mental health support. So if your child is experiencing anxiety, depression, maybe it's something that is a little bit higher of a level than what they're able to, just get through the day with, we would connect them with the adjustment counselors. The adjustment counselors also work with students who might have counseling on their IEP as well. So if your child has an IEP with counseling, they're probably working with either Miss Mack or Miss Kelly. And then we also have a school psychologist. Her name is Miss Morin. She does all of the testing for IEPs. So again, if your child is either on an IEP and will be reevaluated in high school or might be in the future being tested for an IEP, they will meet Miss Morin. She also holds a small counseling caseload as well. So she is another person who is in our office who's here for support. And we all work really well together. We all really like each other, which is great. So if your child needs mental health support, please reach out to their school counselor and we will help you access additional resources. So again, that could be connecting them with an adjustment counselor. We also have a mental health resources document listed here. We're going to send out the slideshow so you can click on the links. This was compiled by MGH. It has some great resources. We also partner with Interface Referral Service, which if you are looking for an outside counselor for your child, you're having trouble finding it, please let us know. We can send you the Interface Referral Service number. You call them, give them the information about your child, your health insurance, and then they will pair you with a counselor who matches up with what you're looking for. There is a wait list. It's a lot shorter now than it has been in the past. So again, if you are looking to connect your child with a therapist, please let us know and we can send you that information. These are the adjustment counselors if you want to see the last name breakdown again. So Miss MacDonald and Miss Kelly.
Yay, graduation. So in order to graduate from Swampscott High School, there are certain requirements that need to be met, and that's one of our roles. I think Ms. Starmer talked about that, is making sure that each student has the requirements each year and then at the end of the year to receive that diploma. So really quickly, I'm just going to run down the list. 4 years of English, 4 years of math. 4 years of math has been the last few years. We changed that. We just have seen such a need for having math in senior year to be the most prepared to go on to a trade or college. So that's why we upped that. 3 years of social studies, and one of those years has to include U.S. history. 3 years of a science with a lab. 2 years of a consecutive world language. So it does have to be, Spanish 1, Spanish 2. It can't be took Spanish 1, didn't like it, and then took, French 1 or French 2. It has to be consecutive. We require 4 years of PE. A caveat to that is it has to fit into the student's schedule. Sometimes it doesn't, so we work with them on that. 2 years of health, so they take a quarter health either in 9th grade or 10th grade, and then another quarter of health is junior year or senior year. Personal financial literacy is a requirement that every student takes to graduate. And in addition to that, they have to take at least 2 classes within the business, career, or fine arts areas. And it all has to total at the end 120 credits minimum to graduate. So we work with students on this, making sure that they reach this goal. A lot of times the way that the schedule works, they have more than 120 credits, which is great. But in each year also, you have to maintain at least 35 credits in your schedule. That's the minimum. The maximum is 40, but the minimum is 35. So it's very easy to get all of your requirements in. So we wanted to show you guys a sample transcript so you understand what, at the high school level, what we're working towards and how this is a permanent record. This record goes with them to, whether we talked about a trade school or going off to college. Sometimes employers want to see it, but this is what they are working towards. This is in a Swampscott High School official transcript, and I want to walk you through the importance of this and how it tells a story, especially to college admissions counselors. They're looking at this when they are reviewing an application, and they have an eye to understand that this transcript is actually telling a story. So I want to point out a few things to you guys of the importance of building a solid transcript. So up at the top, I don't know if I'm going to ruin this, but up here, obviously we blacked out the information, but year of graduation was last year, and we only report the weighted GPA. So this student had a 3.64 weighted GPA. Weighted means that if you take an honors or an AP class, you're having more weight added to your GPA because they're harder classes. So we only report the weighted GPA. In 9th grade, we list out the courses that the students are taking, and then only the final grade from that year is reported on your transcript along with how many credits received. Right here at 9th grade year for this student, they were in a task class, which is a class that supports students on IEPs. So the student was on an IEP. And it lists out every single class with their grades. They were in a lot of ACP classes. And then moving on to 10th grade, they were still in the task class. They listed out some of their, all of their classes that they're taking, and they upped their class to add an honors class. So Spanish 3 honors they jumped into. So that was a big jump from all ACP to now we're adding an honors class, which is great. Then junior year, they're still in task, but if you could see, it says S, and that was only for a semester, because at this point the student was having such great success and academically, socially, that they got removed from their IEP, and so they were removed from the task class. So they continued halfway through the year with no IEP, no services, no accommodations, and still maintained great grades. If you can see the jump from sophomore year to junior year, the upward trend of grades is just, it's excellent. They were doing such an amazing job, still having that Spanish 4 honors. And then senior year, what gets sent out to colleges is by quarter. It won't be that final grade up until we send a final transcript, but during senior year, it does end up going quarter by quarter. And during senior year, now if you remember, they're not on an IEP anymore. They're not having that task class. They went from taking an honors class for 2 years to now taking 4 AP classes and an honors class for band and chorus. So this student really jumped from 9th grade year to senior year. And we just really wanted to highlight that, just because some people think, oh, I'm on an IEP or I'm in task, I can't be challenged and take these other classes. Absolutely, you can. We work with students to get to the point where they're in a good place, it's a good balance, but that they're challenging themselves appropriately. So it can show a story to an admissions counselors. Look at where they started 9th grade year to where they are senior year, and it goes a long way, and it tells a really good story. So we just wanted to showcase this so you guys can see what the students are actually working towards during all 4 years here at the high school.
Okay, and when we've already talked to the students a lot about this in-class assemblies and brought them down to an activities fair. really we want them to get involved while they're here. They could continue an activity that they were interested in from middle school, or this is the perfect opportunity to start fresh and try new things. So we have many, many groups and clubs. So we created a website, which honestly, it's not completely up to date yet. So what is up to date is that second link, the clubs list. That has every club that is active in the building, who the advisor is, how often they meet, and when and where they meet. And then a lot of the clubs have what's called a Google Classroom code, meaning that's where they put all the information about their club. So we also on that we list the Google Classroom code. So students can join anytime. We did have an activities fair where the 9th graders walked around and signed up for things, but it's never too late. We encourage them to check out the list, get involved, become active in everything going on. There's so many wonderful things here at the high school. New clubs this year, or last year, there's a Give Back with Gardening Club. They take care of plants all around the school. There's a Future Physicians of America club. Everything that you could imagine. And if there's not one that they are interested in, students can start one up. So we just encourage we really don't want anybody going home at 2:30 and just being by themselves in their house. We want them active, engaged, trying new things. We have a wonderful athletics program, so students can play sports all seasons of the year. So our athletics website is wonderful and up to date. So they can definitely check that out. And come course selection, we created a website for all of our electives. Our program of studies is very text heavy and it's 75 pages long. It's hard for students to go through that and really find out what we offer for electives. So we turned that into a website. So in the wintertime when we launch course selection, we'll be utilizing that electives website again for students to, in a very visual way and easy way, find out what electives are offered in the building. And those are everything from art to music to TV studio to robotics, business, everything. We have wonderful things happening and no experience required. You can try anything in the building, and we encourage them to do that.
I just want to piggyback off of what Ms. Starmer is saying about getting involved. It's critical for many, many reasons to get involved. One, it gives you a connection to the school beyond the classroom. So the kids are sitting in class 6 hours a day, and we want them connected in a way that is most rewarding to them. And it might not be sitting in math class. It's that robotics club that they're just excited about and can't wait to go to after school. So we want them connected to something other than the academics in the building. It makes it a lot easier to get to school and be excited about it. It also gives you an opportunity for your social emotional growth to be doing stuff that you like and you're around like-minded people. So join a club that you have an interest in, and new friendships kind of stem from that because it's a mix of 9th through 12th graders. So, the 9th graders are coming in, they only know their class at this point. They might know some upperclassmen here and there. Maybe if they're playing a fall sport, they might know some upperclassmen via that, but it's a great way to get involved and kind of expand your friend group. And lastly, it's important to get involved because, like I said, we're building a resume of what they are doing all 4 years of high school. So come senior year, a part of that college application is listing out all of your activities. So we want to make sure you have something on there and you're building that list for that reason as well.
And then this is a slideshow we also show the students. So we talk to them a lot about how to be successful. Every time we're with them, just the other day we had student council speeches and we're reminding them, progress reports are coming out tomorrow. If you have a grade that's low, what do you do about it? And so we're constantly reminding them of their resources here at school and what to do if they're not happy with how things are going. There's always a chance to turn it around. So we talk to them about how to be successful. Ms. Zotto is the biggest proponent of come to school. Absences hurt you the most. Not being here, you miss too much, and it's really hard to catch up. So chronic absenteeism really leads to students not being promoted in their grades and just falling way behind. So most of the battle is being physically present in class, and we will help you. We will help you once you walk through that door. So being here every day is so important. We really talk to the students about communicating with teachers, and this might be a shift where maybe the parents and the guardians have done most of the communicating up until now with the teachers, but we really try to have the students have a voice, be a self-advocate, and speak to the teachers when something's going wrong or not to their liking or they have an issue. And that's where we can come in as a support, helping them use their voice, but also backing them up and supporting them through that. So communicating with teachers is huge, and using their resources. So XBlock. Hopefully parents and guardians have heard of that, but that is built in. Now we have XBlock every single day. It's 30 minutes in the middle of the day where there's not a scheduled class happening. It's a time for extra help. It's called a homeroom. So you report to your homeroom, but if you don't have any business to do with your homeroom, you can go see any teachers that you have in your schedule to get extra help. So if you're not understanding a math concept, or you need to make up a quiz because you were absent, or you just need you have one clarifying question, or want somebody to review your essay, a draft of an essay you've written, it is a perfect 30 minutes built into the day for them to do that. And now we have it 5 days a week. Last year we only had it 3 days a week, but we've changed the schedule this year to accommodate more opportunities to get that extra help. So it's also a chance, if you don't have somewhere to go, use that 30 minutes to do some of your homework so you're not so bogged down at night. So Ms. Otto's really being serious about utilizing XBlock to the best of its ability. It's not a time to just hang out and wander in the halls. We really want the students engaged in some type of learning and getting that extra help. And this was kind of, this was born out of COVID. When we came back from COVID, there had been so much loss of time with teachers and loss of learning. So it came out of COVID, but if we use it in its proper way, I don't think it'll be going anywhere. So we're encouraging them to use that all the time. And then the more we get to know them, the more they will realize that we are a resource for them. So we're trying to build those relationships right away. We're very busy with the seniors now, and we also want to meet all of our 9th graders. So it's a very busy time in our office, but we love it. And then, like I said, self-advocacy. So using their own voice, speaking up when something's going wrong. We want them to develop that skill, especially moving into their adult life, but we start now. And then we talked about getting involved. That's so important and helps them be happy. We just want happy, engaged, driven students here at school. And then we talked about challenging themselves when Ms. Mazzola was talking about the transcript. That looks different for everybody, but we'll constantly be monitoring progress and encouraging them to challenge themselves through their 4 years here. And that was the end of our presentation. Do we have any questions?
Yes, so XBlock is every day in the middle of the day. It's only about 30 minutes long, and a study period, if your student has a study on their schedule, is an entire period, which is 76 minutes. So XBlock, every teacher is available for extra help. So especially if they need extra help, we'd encourage them to utilize XBlock. Study, they're with a specific teacher, just kind of scheduled wherever, whoever is available that period. They could totally go see a teacher if that teacher happens to have a prep and they want a little bit of a longer time with them. But a study period really is great for getting your homework done, so that you don't have to worry about it after school, especially if you have a lot of activities.
Do they always have one, or is that then sometimes changed? Like, I'm trying to figure out how the credits differ. So is it because they either have a study block or they don't?
Correct, yes. So typically students, we try to make it so that typically they'll have a study every quarter of their year, or 3 out of the 4 quarters of their year, they'll have a study somewhere on their schedule. And then that other quarter, they might have gym or health, like a quarter-long class. So typically they will have a study in their schedule, and that is where the credits are lost in terms of we want them to have at least 35 credits. They could have up to 40 credits. That difference is what the study period is.
Some kids don't want to study hall at all. Some kids don't want study at all. They want to be in classes. It's a little difficult when we offer health as a quarter class and some of the PEs as a quarter class. When you have so let me say it even better. We have full year classes. Your core classes are full years. There's a few electives that are full years. And then we break down into semesters. Quarter 1 and quarter 2 make up semester 1. Quarter 3 and quarter 4 make up semester 2. So if you have health quarter one, you will not have a class quarter two because we don't offer quarter classes other than health and PE. So that quarter two, you might have a study hall. But sometimes students don't want to have study halls, so we try to get them into as many classes as possible. But some students want, maybe one a quarter, 2 quarters a year or whatever, just because they play a sport or they have activities. The drama play can get hectic in the spring. So there's a number of reasons for that. Any other questions?
Oh, there's someone like.
Somebody online said, can freshmen modify the course they are signed up for in the spring? So the ninth graders got electives. Electives are very competitive in a way. There's only a certain amount of spots in art classes or TV studio classes, and the spots fill up quickly. And we fill them up with the priority going to the older kids who are going to graduate. They get first dibs, and then it goes down from there. So we're so happy. The ninth graders have been wonderful in going with the flow and accepting the schedule as it came out. Over the summer, if they didn't get their first choice electives, we as counselors did our best to find out kind of the areas they were requesting and putting them in things that we hoped that they would enjoy. That being said, second semester, like Ms. Mazzola is saying, starts in late January. If a student is signed up for an elective in second semester and is not thrilled about it or wants to see what else is available, we'd be happy to look. It's just that disclaimer, many of the electives are already full, but we'd be happy to look and see if we could change them into something else of interest, but just no promises. We'll have to see what's available. And then another parent was asking about the emphasis on AP classes and how does that correlate with anxiety and stress over the years. So I think that goes back to our motto of embrace your own path. We absolutely have seniors graduate every year who have never taken an AP class and they still go on to a 4-year college. So we are a college preparatory high school no matter what. We do want the students to challenge themselves appropriately, so the teachers are constantly challenging them and talking to them about taking those higher level classes if it's appropriate. And the students have the final say, so they don't have to accept saying yes to all of those offers. So, and that's where we come in with those individual meetings and making sure that they're excited about the schedule and that we as the adult don't feel like it's too much, and you as the family can have a conversation at home as well. So it is that balancing act. Certainly we don't want people in AP classes who are so stressed that they're not those happy students living their best lives. So it's a balancing act, and we adjust. If students take on too much, we can adjust the schedule. We certainly want everybody happy and healthy. That's the number one.
Oh, we have another question.
Just in terms of, the daily schedule, where does lunch fit?
Good question. So in terms of the daily schedule, so we have to repeat it for the audience at home. Where does lunch fit in? Great question. So I wish I had a visual of the schedule, but basically the schedule, you have 4 periods every day. They're 76 minutes each. Right in the middle of your day, you have X block. So that's like 10:50 to 11:20. And then that third period, so period 3 on A days or period 7 on B days, it alternates, is your lunch period. So depending on what class you have that period determines what lunch you have. So if you have English classes, history classes, I think maybe film classes, I'm not sure. We have a list of everything for students to see. If you have those classes, you'll have first lunch, which means after X block at 11:25, you're going to go to lunch for 25 minutes, and then you go to your third period class for 76 minutes, and then you go to your fourth period class, and you're done for the day. If you have a math class, a science class, PE, health, those classes have second lunch. So what that means is after X block at 11:25, you're going to go to your class for 76 minutes. And then at the end of that class, so I think around 12:45, 12:50, you're going to go to lunch and have your 25-minute lunch period. And then you just have period 4. Does that make sense? And there's definitely a schedule posted online so you can kind of see what like a daily bell schedule looks like. There's also some in the main office. But again, every kid gets lunch and it's 25 minutes.
Yeah, the feedback I'm hearing is that the lines are long in lunch and they don't have enough time
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. We want every kid to have that time in lunch. He's hearing that for the audience at home. He's hearing that sometimes the lines can be long, so you don't have a ton of time to eat and hang out with your friends after that. We can definitely share that information with Principal Zotto. I do think part of the reason why the lines are so long is every student gets free lunch. Since COVID, that has been a policy in Massachusetts, which is great. So you don't have to worry about if you forgot to make lunch at home or forgot your lunch money. Every student does get free lunch, but I can see that also meaning that more students are getting lunch, so the line is a lot longer. Yes. That is a really good question. So some clubs do require students to take specific classes. I think probably, I'm guessing the one you're thinking of is DECA, requires business classes. Yes. So I think with DECA, the advisor who runs it, and this would be a great question for him, for Mr. P, if you wanted to reach out to him. He wants students to have some experience with business classes before they're taking or going to the DECA competition and presenting in front of judges their projects and what they've been working on. He wants them to have a little bit of experience with the business classes before they do that.
I understand the question completely. I do. I get it. And it's definitely, it's a good conversation piece to have. I think this particular club is so directly related to content within the curriculum and the classes. So that's why there is a little bit of a prerequisite there. But we do our best to try to get kids into classes because they anticipate wanting to get to DECA. With ninth graders, they may or may not even know about DECA, so they might not know to have requested a business class. But it's something that, talk to the counselors about, the students should be talking to us about too, and making sure that that becomes a priority for the next year during scheduling. Oh, great question. So Mondays and Wednesdays, the question is, what is the Friday schedule? Mondays and Wednesdays are day A, Tuesdays and Thursdays are day B, and Fridays alternate A, B, A, B. So that we're able to see classes sometimes 3 times a week, but definitely 2 times a week, alternating. Anything else? Oh, go ahead.
And just in regards to the school calendar, there is a calendar you could print out and keep at home. So if the students are confused, is it on Fridays? Is it an A day or a B day today? The district has put out the calendar. I can ask Ms. Zotto to put it in her weekly bulletin if she hasn't already, but it's something that you could keep at home. The students should just have it on hand so they know.
Yeah, he has it. It's just that, like, I'm apparently not able to get any, like, he's like, I got it. I'm like, cool, you got it, but, like, I want to know. Like, so all of these questions are just things I'm curious about. He's got it under.
Right. The students are amazing. They adjust. They adjust to lunch. They adjust to the schedule. It's been great. It's been fun getting to know them. Of course. The question is there a policy about teachers sharing their political views? That would definitely be a question for the principal. I don't know. I would imagine it's not supposed to happen. Okay, so definitely, yeah, I would report that to the administration. All right, well, thank you so much.